You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. You're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. That's a definition of a good-looking person. Looking for and finding the good in life. When that happens, everything opens up for you. And welcome to tune in. If you've tuned in consciously and conscientiously to The Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore. And the reason you tuned in is because you know that in this show, we discuss the three fundamentals of life. And when you live with these three fundamentals, the result is that you will be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? And you are joined at this very moment, by the way, I should tell you, you're joined at this very moment by 422,817 people around the world. And before we bring on our amazing guest, wonderful Brian Biro, there'll be probably 450 plus thousand people because you're always urging your family and friends to listen. And I urge everybody to make sure that you share this podcast with 5 people. You want to share with 50 or 100, it's up to you, but at least 5 so we can touch 2+ million people around the world and give us a high rating and just spread the word. The word is it's good for you. Not me, not our guest, you. Become you, the best you. So again, we discussed the 3 fundamentals of life. What are these 3 fundamentals? Number 1, your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. In this case, good number 2. You go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the 3rd fundamental is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example. Right now, the show's carried around the world, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people listening and watching. And it's all carried over the internet. Ask anybody, what does www stand for? Invariably, it has to do with the internet. And factually speaking, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purples, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? WHETA. And of course, a big tip of the hat and a big thank you to Louis Armstrong, Satchmo, for enabling that song to go viral. What a wonderful world. Whenever you hear the opening bars of what a wonderful world, what do you do right away? You can't help it. You smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you're going to internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. That's right. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I got to tell you, I'm honored to be able to speak to hundreds of thousands of people around the world on a weekly basis through the podcast and other things that I do on the web. I also get to speak to people in person. And I tell the story about Barry Shore and seeing miracles in life every day. And in almost every place, some people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours. I haven't seen any miracles. And I ask them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. Do you have water to drink? Do you have food? Do you have a place to sleep? Do you have family and friends? Every single one of those is a miracle. And what's the proof? Simple proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or you're listening, you didn't. If you have an obligation to live life to the full. Let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Imagine, if you can, I'm standing up in the morning, completely healthy and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And that evening, I'm in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed, my neck down. It's called being a quadriplegic. Nothing in the body moved. And I can only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't move. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs, my hips, and my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. Can't walk up a stair by myself. I can't walk up a curb by myself. I help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, all because of one word. That's right. Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I'll tell you a cute story. My 80-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago and she says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile? S-M-I-E-L. I thought about it. Smile sounds the same. Why not? I asked her how come. She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. But what was she doing? She was creating the kind of world that she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a fabulous acronym that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. That's right, rethinking, what we call a shift in perspective. Now, I got to tell you, I've been working with people for more than 4.5 decades. 97.2% of all the people I ever work with, these are high achievers. When they begin, they've dropped the F in shift and the other stuff happens. You got to be effing careful with your F. You want to shift your perspective just a little bit. And now you can have a breakthrough. And now you can internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever learn. And these are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will determine your pathway and your trajectory. Now, before we bring on wonderful Brian, I do want to warn him and others new to the show that I do use a lot of 4-letter words, and I even use the 4-letter FU word because of the shock value and it's fun. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, are love, life, hope, free, give, play, pray, swim. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, that's right. FU, capital N, capital N. Hey, Barry Shore, some people say fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world. World of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, when you see your family and friends, I want you to point your finger and tell everybody, F-U. Remember, add right away, capital N, capital N, and say, where'd you get that? Say, well, I listened to Barry Shore, and he had on Brian. He was talking about these things. You got their attention. Now you can speak to them about all the wonderful things that we discuss here today. So you want to F-U to a lot of people. I remember, add capital N, capital N. And before we bring on amazing Brian, I want to urge everybody to use the 2 most powerful words in English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life, because it will make you happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. To harmonize and nurture kindness. Kind is a fabulous word. It stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anybody that inspires noble deeds I want to share with you more than the amazing, wonderful, fabulous Brian Biro. Brian, you say hello to 427,819 people around the world.
Joy to you, every single one of you. And I don't have an acronym for joy, but I sure would like to use that word. So I'm so excited to be with you, Bear. What
Okay,
a phenomenal opening, my friend.
We're going to give you a word, an acronym for joy. How do you like that, Brian?
I knew you'd have one.
Here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Journey of you.
Ah, beautiful. Beautiful.
But that's who you are. This is what you're all about. And if I started telling everybody the CV of Brian and what he's done, what he's accomplished, all the kinds of things, going to the finest colleges in the United States of America, which means the world, publishing more than 16 books, and talking at places like Disney and then the highest of the highest. And he's agreed to be on our show today because he knows that on this show, The Joy of Living, it's not about Brian, great guy that he is, or Barry Shore, fabulous fellow. It's about you. Y-O-U, you becoming the best you possible. That's the joy of life, the journey of you. So, Brian, I will tell people later, we're going to drop some names just because it's fun to do that and tell people how accomplished you are. But right now, let's just jump right in and talk about what you're known for. I mean, you are double B, and you are known for the big B. We call you triple B because your name, and you literally are the person who didn't coin the term. However, you brought it to the forefront of mind for people who go to seminars, especially the seminars that are put on by this interesting fellow named Anthony Robbins, right? And that's Anthony's anthem, right? Breakthrough. And it comes from you. Now, this is not to denigrate Anthony in any way. This is to show his greatness, how he collaborates and works with great people. But let's talk about breakthrough. What the heck is breakthrough? Everybody knows what it means, but we don't know what it means. What does it mean, Brian?
Well, I love it. And I love that I'm called America's Breakthrough Speaker, because understanding that breakthroughs are, you said it, are a matter of choice, and how we make those choices is the greatest opportunity we have in life. I call it the WOO, the window of opportunity, which is every precious moment. In other words, you never know if the next person you'll meet today may become your lifelong friend, as you didn't know when you met your lifelong friend. Incidentally, woo is really fun to say, Barry. 1, 2, 3.
Woo! Woo!
Yeah,
And, by the way, when we talk, you and I both do this when we do speaking, and I talk a lot about woo-woo, right?
Yeah, right. And I talk about the woo, seizing the window of opportunity. That's when we break through. So breakthroughs that matter most in life are breaking through from fear to freedom. Ultimately, there is one breakthrough, Barry. It's what your life is all about. It's what your purpose is about. It's breaking through from fear to love. That's it. And every time you choose the fear side, you know it. It weighs you down. It makes you feel like, it makes you think of all the reasons you can't, or you shouldn't even try. And every time you choose the love side, you're like my 2 grandchildren, and at 8 and 5, know that anything is possible. So breakthroughs come when we realize that we have a choice about the way that we live our life. And there's really 3 key components to breaking through. And I'll talk more about the actual breakthrough experience in a minute. The first is about vision. You got to see it before you can be it. All right. You've got to see it before you can be it. And you've already said it in your wonderful opening. What we focus on is what we create. It's not what we get. It's what we create. Because once we get in the game, we are creating it. So are you focusing on the obstacle? How many of us, here's an incredible question. Since what we focus on is what we create, ask yourself, what am I focusing on? How many of us have focused more on worrying about what we don't want than creating what we do want? How many of us focus on the things that make us angry or frustrated or disappointed instead of the things that bring us joy? How many of us focus on what we don't want, the obstacle, rather than what we do want? Either way, what you focus on is what you create. So the starting place for breakthroughs is to begin to see beyond the obstacle. All right. That kind of brings me to why I'm called America's Breakthrough Speaker, because I've had over 1 million people actually not just talk about breakthroughs, because when we hear, we forget. When we see, we're more likely to remember, but it's only when we do that we understand. And so I've had a little over 1 million people actually break through wooden boards in my programs. It's a metaphor of breakthrough that's real. And it's the greatest combination individual and team experience you'll ever have in an event. The individual part is related to the meaning. So everyone writes on their board something they're ready to break through in their life. Example, the first board I ever broke through with my friend Larry Michael, who's a great friend of ours. The first one I ever broke through, what I wrote on my board was one word, procrastination. Incidentally, Barry, the best thing to do about procrastination? Put it off. Anyways, mine was specific procrastination. It was procrastination about writing books. My whole life, I wanted to write a book, and I always found a way to put it off. All right. And on the other side of the board, I have everybody write down what's waiting for you when you have broken through. What are you going to do, be, feel, create, have in your life? Because never again is that going to hold you back. So the first element to the breakthrough experience is related to the meaning. I've had people radically change the way they dealt with cancer and beat it. I've had people lose over 100 pounds. I've had people forgive someone and finally realize not forgiving was drinking poison and expecting them to die. I've had people bring their families back together. So that's the first part of the breakthrough experience and the meaning part. But there's more than the individual side. If I have a room full of 500 people, we'll start with 50 circles of 10 people each. All right, and they're in a tight circle, and there's a board holder in each of those circles. If Barry, you are in that circle, and all the other 9 people are going, Barry, Barry, Barry. We got 50 of those going at a time, music blasting, people clapping. Some people have never been cheered for in their life. And for them, that's the moment of breakthrough, to understand how beautiful it feels to feel that unconditional support. The team part is equally cool, because there's something about it that causes even very, kind of inside, quieter people, they explode out, they let go, they open up. Introverted people become extroverted. And the last part, Barry, the best way I can explain about that, the greatest team experience of all, I call it moving from ego to we go. And that is, the best day of my life was my daughter's wedding day. And it
Say
was
it
for
again.
something.
Wait a minute. I want to hear it one more time. The best day of your life.
Was my daughter's wedding day. And I could never explain why until I experienced it. And that was for 6 hours in one night. I didn't think of myself once. All I could do was think of her. They tell me I was laughing and crying at the same time. All I remember was her. And when those 9 people are around you, Barry, going, Barry, 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 they get to feel in those moments about you the way I felt about my daughter, where they're not thinking about themselves. They're thinking, I just want you to break through. So the first key to that breakthrough is focus on what you want. And 95% of breaking the board, Barry, isn't about strength or muscle. It's about looking beyond the obstacle.
Oh, so let's unpack a few things because we just had, I'm laughing along with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, Brian, around the world who are leaning in. I'm going to urge everybody, don't take notes. Put your pencil or pen away or your computer. Don't take notes. Experience, Brian. I should have told you this in the beginning. Okay. Just for the next half hour, we're going to be together. Just lean in. That's why we record this. So you can go back, listen again, and then you can slow it down, you can pause, you can take notes and stuff, but right now just experience it. So I'm going to unpack a couple things. One is this idea of window of opportunity. And you mentioned that there's only 2 woos in the world. Woo. It goes from woof to wool, from fear to love. Woof is a dog, right? Woof, woof. The dog is always chasing you and bothering you and saying, come on, pay attention. And what you really is saying, get rid of that fear. How do you do that? You want the wool. You want to feel that gentle, soft, loving, comforting, either sweater or pants or shawl or something. And now you're in love. You're living in love. You're surrounded by wool. So I love your woo-woo and your woof and your wool. And the idea of the breakthrough and these circles of people paying attention to you for you. See, everybody really wants to be a benefit to you. The world wants to be a benefit to you. And what you're saying, Brian, is let's open up to that. As opposed to think, like you said, what's the vision? If you see anxiety, distraction, sadness, and things, well, guess what will happen? If you see joy, happiness, peace, and love, guess what will happen? I mean, I'm looking at Brian, I'm seeing joy, happiness, peace, and love.
There you go. There you go. It's
I'm digging it.
It's like a little child. My grandson, when he was 3.5, he was Evel Knievel on his tricycle. He would go 400 miles an hour, make these little tiny turns. He was so good that for his 4th birthday, his mom and dad said, he's ahead of the curve. We're getting him a 2-wheeler bike. So the big day came. He gets up on the little bicycle. They're holding the back fender. He puts his little feet on the pedals. He put his little hand on the handlebars. He puts his little tongue out for balance. And he starts pedaling. And mom and dad are running behind him and just, cheering him on. And he's wobbling. But after a while, he gets enough momentum up and they let him go and he's riding his bike. Way to go, Augie. However, unfortunately, on that day, right in front of him in the sidewalk was a great big rock. What did Augie do? What happened? What did he look at? The rock. What happens next? Boom. He nails that rock. He falls down. He scrapes his little elbow. He walks by his dad. I'm cool, Dad. No problem. Goes up to mom and goes, Mom, I'm going to die. All right. So now it's 2 weeks later. Same little guy. Same little bike. All right. Got his hands on those handlebars. Got his feet on the pedals. No tongue out anymore. Doesn't need it anymore. He's got this bike riding thing down. Boppity, 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 bop. Bigger rock. What happens now? He goes around it. What goes around it first? Not the bike. His vision. He sees where he wants to see. He has taught us that what you focus on is what you create. So what do you want to focus on the rock or the way around it? And then the most beautiful thing, you're going to love this story. I've had, as I said, 1 million people break boards. Several summers ago, I had my most senior board breaker. She was 95 years old. I had 4,000 people breaking boards that day in Atlanta.
Oh, come on. This is too much fun.
And she was the last person, because when I do the program, I tell all my holders, so I have 400 board holders with circles of 10 people each, that if anybody does not break their board after 3 good tries out there, that I've asked you to ask them to take a break, to watch, to cheer your team on, And then at the very end, everyone comes up in front of the stage. And if you refuse to give up, just pop up on the stage and I'll hold for you. Now, I can't break a board for anyone, but I can put them in the best place possible. So 4,000 people, picture them like jammed up like you see at a giant concert, rock concert. They're all up in front of this stage that is very high stage. And this 95-year-old woman did not want to give up. She had tried 3 times, hadn't done it. Well, when she got up on the stage, her granddaughter had to get up on the stage behind her, hold her by her waist from behind so she wouldn't teeter too much. And I will tell you, Barry, when she broke her board, which she did, in front of those 4,000 people, the roar from those 4,000 people, it was in Atlanta, Georgia. You could have heard it out there in LA. But here's the most incredible part. Every one of those people had a breakthrough experience that day. But the one they'll remember most was that 95-year-old lady. And it teaches us that the best thing about being human is we'll do more for others than we'll do for ourselves.
Woo! Wait, I'm going to put you on pause for the moment because that's a cliffhanger, baby. That's a cliffhanger. Now, we have sponsors that love the show, and we wouldn't have them on if we didn't vet them and think that they're worthy of your time and energy and attention. So you don't want to miss more Brian. So just stay here. We'll be back a couple of minutes. More Brian. Breakthrough coming right back after this. Don't go away. Water, wonderful, clean, clear, fresh water. I make it a point to have good habits. And one of the most beneficial habits is drinking pure, healthy water. That's why I use AquaTrue, AQUATRU, AquaTrue. You got to check out this company. AquaTrue purifiers use a 4-stage reverse osmosis purification process. That sounds like a lot, and I'll tell you what it is. It's great because there's no installation or plumbing, and it removes 15 times more contaminants than ordinary pitch filters. I have to tell you, you got to get this remarkable countertop process. The filters are actually quite affordable and they're long lasting. You change maybe once every 6 months or 2 years. So you save a lot right away, not having to buy a lot of filters. And when you use the system, you're getting the equivalent of about 4,500 bottles of water. I mean, think about that. That comes out to less than 3 cents a bottle. Plus, you're saving the environment from all that plastic and such. And best of all, the water tastes fantastic. I love drinking water. And even more importantly, my kids and grandkids love water even more so than carbonated soda. How's that? And if you have pets like we do, our dogs love this water. So I can truly taste the difference. And I urge you, please get the AquaTrue system. Go to aquatrue.com. AQUATRU.com. AQUATRU.com. Put in the code JOY, J-O-Y, at checkout. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, and it makes a great gift. You're going to love it. You're going to thank me. Go to aquatrue.com, AQUATRU.com. Use the promo code JOY, and you'll thank me. Best wishes. Bye now. Hi, everybody. I have something special for you. Everybody knows that fasting is healthy. People also know that it can be challenging. However, not with something I recommend and I use, which is called Prolon, Prolon. It's really fasting with food. You hear that? That's right, fasting with food. Now, Prolon is a science-backed nutrition product that helps support blood sugar levels and cardiovascular health. I use it. I recommend it. It's great. It has snacks, soups, beverages, all designed to activate your body's fasting state. And never experienced anything like this. And I urge you to do what I do. I have used Prolon. And if I was going to start a nutrition program, Prolon is exactly what I would continue to use. It's convenient. It's backed by Nobel-winning science. And most of all, it works. Right now, Prolon is offering my Joy of Living listeners 15% off their 5-day nutrition program. That's right, 15% off. I urge everybody, go to prolonlife.com. That's PROLONLIFE, prolonlife.com Barry, Barry, 15% off. Go to prolonlife.com, prolonlife.com/Barry. You will thank me. Best wishes. Bye now. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe a good-looking show I was looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is Brian Biro, and we're
It's
talking.
Pyro, actually, but that's okay. I go by it's better than Bird Brain, so I'll go with Byron.
Talking about breakthrough, and we're on an edge, we're on a precipice because a 95-year-old woman just broke a board. Now, tell us more. What's going on? By the way, I want to mention to you this beautiful idea. I came up with an acronym for your name. May I tell you?
Yes, I'd love it.
Brian, Brian, bringing resilience, insight, awareness naturally.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's so cool.
Because that's
Thank
what
you. You're the master. You're the master of these
Yeah.
these incredible
acronyms.
things. I love it.
We love it. So, by the way, I'm going to give you one for team because you've been talking about team also. Now, everybody knows the one together, everyone achieves more. When you go into the Barry Shaw world, it stands for together, everyone achieves miracles.
I was going to say magic, but either way, I love it. Beautiful.
Because that's what a 95-year-old woman.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And I will tell you, the roar from those 4,000 people was so loud that I don't know if you ever heard something so loud that your head is like almost falling off. That's what it was. I have to tell you one more because this really gets to another vitally important key to living a joyous life. Many years ago, are you familiar with, I'm sure you are, a man by the name of Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor was a good friend of mine, and we lost him a year or two ago.
Right.
Just a wonderful guy. Well, years ago, he was actually in Santa Monica, California, and had a heart issue. And I had been his friend, and he called me because he had an event coming up, which he was not allowed to speak at. He had to lay low and heal a little bit. So I flew up to Toronto to do this event. It was a small event, but with a group of people that had signed up to work with Bob for a whole year. It was called The Matrix. It was about living your big idea, going for your purpose. Well, one young man in that group was with his dad, and he was about 21 years old, and his name was Greg, and he was paraplegic. He had been in less than a year before, he had jumped in a pool, misjudged the depth, and was paralyzed his right hand was curled up this way. He was in a wheelchair, but he was full out in life. And on the way to that event, as I was flying, I started thinking about all the people I had breakthrough in my programs over the years. And over those first 16, 17 years, I probably had 10 people who did not break through with me, who wanted to, who tried. It's always a matter of choice. As you know, it's all about choice. And if you would have seen all those 10 people, you probably would have said, I get it, because each one of them were very physically limited. But it occurred to me as I was flying along, maybe it wasn't them. Maybe it was me. Maybe the guy who's teaching to focus on what you want, not what you don't want, was focusing on the possibility that they couldn't create a miracle. And so that was my thought process. I went in there. And I always allow myself to be guided to pick the first breaker. Well, my heart told me it was Greg. I knew he wanted to break through. He had not moved his hand from here. I got down on my knees since he was in a wheelchair, picture 40 people so close to him, it's like we were one. And I watched this young man who had not moved his hand, I kid you not, with his eyes just focused on my eyes, because that's the key. If you focus on the board, you'll get the board. Focus on the breakthrough, you get the breakthrough. I watched his hand, his fingers open. He turned his hand, and he went through the board.
Oh!
And that group of 40 that was one just collapsed upon him, tears and joy. His father literally fell to the ground behind him because their big idea was something about business, but it really was that he's going to walk again. That's what they really wanted to see. At any rate, 14 years later, I get an email from Greg telling me what that breakthrough moment had changed the trajectory of his whole life. I ended up working with him on his speaking. He's now a professional speaker. And so to me, what that says is not only there's something called the Pygmalion effect. And our Pygmalion effect says that our thoughts and our beliefs and our expectations are magnetic. That as I look at you, Barry, I'm actually pulling you in the direction of the way I see you. Right. And we are Pygmalions to everyone, but we are most of all a Pygmalion to ourselves. So when you look in the mirror, do you see your beauty? Where do you see your pimples? Do you see your possibilities or your limits? Whichever way you see, not only are you creating it, but the way you see others is pulling them that way too. So the joy in life is to be a positive Pygmalion, because whenever you seek to enrich another's experience, you can't help but enrich your own, because you feel the joy of giving. You feel you have to stretch yourself into places you never would have gone had you not sought to serve another person. So anyways, so a couple of great breakthrough stories.
So there, I love the fact that you're a jogger. What does that mean? Jog, joy of giving.
And there you go.
And now I'm speaking for hundreds of thousands of people at the moment, Brian. This is why I'm so humbled and honored that you're here. Because what you're doing is you're not relating to us a story or stories. You're relating to us human experience. See, human experience is not a story. Human experience is the reality of life. And everybody that is listening or watching, everybody has a hand that's curled up. Everybody has some physical limitation that you're not allowing yourself to open up to or with. And these words that Brian is sharing right now should be penetrating into everybody's being, into your very soul, which animates you. And that's why I'm so glad that you're here with us and such. And we're talking about the idea of creating, and as we mentioned in the beginning, a choice, not chance, determines your destiny.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it.
And you're right, by the way, about the story, and not the story about, but Brett and his father, they were thinking business, or maybe the father was, because he said, how is my son going to support himself? And said, okay, we're going to do a business. And really it was about the business of life, because business will come anyway.
Absolutely. We're all in the people business. That's the only business there is.
Right. By the way, let's say a few more words about Bob Proctor. For those who don't know, might be some who don't know, because people listen all over the world. Just go and not only Google, but look at YouTubes of Bob Proctor. And Bob was one of the most remarkable, loving, giving beings on the planet, because everything about him was vibration.
Absolutely.
Now, and when I made my acronym of love, I was thinking of Bob. So love stands for living on vibrant energy.
I love that.
Living on the vibrational plane. And by the way, I'm going to mention to you something. If you can see behind me, there are two things that should be standing out in addition to all the books. One is an owl. I don't know if you can see it. And the other is an hourglass. Well, one of the reasons I have the hourglass there is because of Bob Proctor. And
that's right. That's so great. Well, I got to tell you, you'll appreciate this, how I met Bob Proctor. When I wrote my first book, which was called Beyond Success, in a 3-week period, 4 different people told me that I needed to send the book to Bob Proctor. Now, these people did not know each other, and I had never heard of Bob Proctor at that point in my life.
How long ago was that?
That was 30 years ago.
Oh, okay. Long time.
30 years ago. So after the first person said Bob Proctor, I said, oh, okay, whatever. Second person, I'm going, what's going on? Third person, I'm going, something's going on. Fourth person, I sent him the book. And I wrote him a little letter and told him about that. Well, 2.5 weeks later, it's a Sunday morning. I'm living in Montana at the time. It's 6 a.m. in Montana, 8 a.m. in Toronto. The phone rings. Now, I'm an early guy. I get the phone and goes, is this Brian Biro? I go, yes, it is. Who's this? He goes, this is Bob Proctor. He said, I'm ticked off at you, man. I said, why? Because I've been reading your book all night. I can't put the darn thing down. He said, next thing he did was he said, I want you to send me a case of books, 32 books. All right. And I'm going to send a book to 32 of my people. And I'm going to tell each of them to buy a case of your books and then to do the same thing and the same thing. Next thing you know, my book is flying all over the place. That was the kind of person Bob Proctor was.
Okay, everybody, I asked you again, please don't take notes. Let this experience wash over you, through you, because we're talking about great people. Brett was the person with the arm. Bob Proctor, Brian. Okay,
You.
sure, all right, fine. And the hundreds of thousands of people, each one of you have chosen to tune in consciously and conscientiously to this because you know that this is really about you becoming the best you possible. When you're the best you build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. I am just, I'm so loving this. It's wonderful about shaping your future and the vision. So what happens after vision? I want to see that which I'm going to create. Okay, I see it in front of me.
Great.
Now, what do we do next?
The second controllable, I call these the three controllables. When we remember, whenever we focus on the things we do control, our effort, our energy, our attitude, our kindness, our joy, our generosity, we feel great. We feel momentum in our life. It's when we focus on the things we don't control that we get disappointed, disillusioned, give up. So the second key, and another one is so incredible. We are very, very copacetic here because I also got to tell you, my first career was as a U.S. swimming coach. So swimming was the hugest part of my life. So
hello. Okay, we have to talk about that. Okay.
We'll do that whole thing. The second of the controllables is that your energy is your choice, is to energize and engage your team. You know, most people, Barry, think about their energy in the same way they think of the weather. It's kind of like, gee, I hope the weather's good for the family picnic. Hope the weather stays good for the holiday this year. But my passion, my mission, and I can tell the same years is to say, your energy is nothing like the weather. Your energy is absolutely, positively, and magnificently a matter of your choice. And when you understand it's a choice, and then far more importantly, how to cultivate a new energy choice, watch out. Because why is your energy so important? Well, here's the first key. And I could not think of a more perfect example than Barry Shore. To everyone we touch, our energy is our example. Our energy is our example. People won't remember that much of what we say, no matter how well we say it, but they'll never forget our energy. They get our energy before we open our mouth. We get our energy after they close their mouth. We get energy over the phone. We haven't seen their face. We get their energy the way we send emails. Email does not stand for electronic mail. It stands for energy mail, for goodness sakes. That's why every email
Wait a minute. We got to reemphasize that again. It's not email, electronic mail. It's energy mail. That's email. Right. Because you want your message is you want it to come through. It's not just, hi, Brian, here's an opportunity together. And even if you said it, well, gee, Brian, that's wonderful. Think of it when, like you just said, when you see your email as your energy mail, by definition, the same thing happens on the phone. When you're talking to one another without even a FaceTime, that the voice is uplifting and beneficial and positive and purposeful, because that's what connects. That's the human condition. Like you said, the only business we're in, and the real benefit of business, is human. We love people. We love to share.
That's it. So how do you energize and engage yourself and your team? And there's three simple ways. We could spend a whole show on it, but I'm just going to touch on them. The first is so simple that we miss it. In the same way that if I asked 422,974 people that are watching this show right now, what color is a yield sign? 421,000 would say yellow. Well, they're red and white. They're upside down triangles are red and white because we use our memory and our conditioning to see instead of our vision. So the same way that we miss the fact that the first way we can create energy is simply this. Your energy is created by the way that you move. In other words, anytime you've been at your best, you've been your most joyous, you've been your most creative, you've been your kindest, you've been your most dynamic, you've moved your body differently than when you've not been your best, with specifically your body line posture, your facial expression, your eye position, focal point, your actual physical movement, and your breathing. Now, I've said this sometimes to people and they go, well, Brian, if I had more energy, I'd move more.
Wait a minute.
Move more and you'll have more energy.
Okay, let me give you a quote from one of the greatest, most energetic, moving people I ever experienced in my life. And I only did it, never met him in person, even though I may have crossed paths one time. Jack LaLanne. So if
Yeah,
anybody doesn't know Jack LaLanne, look him up. I mean, it's not. So Jack LaLanne's quote is, you ready for this? Motion is lotion.
I love it.
Because you want to lubricate your whole being, not just your physical being, because he was all about the soul and the mind, because that's really, but motion is lotion. So
Yeah.
as we mentioned in the beginning of the show, I was a quadriplegic. Hello, I couldn't move for years, nothing. I swim now 2 miles a day, 6 days a week.
I love it. I love it. That's
And
so
and my mindset, I see me as a swimmer. I wear special devices on my legs so they don't sink. I wear paddles so my fingers don't glide. I use a snorkel. To me, it's Michael Phelps incarnate.
I love it.
Motion is lotion. I love that. That's
Motion
right.
is lotion.
You're
I'm seeing
generating
Jack in his
energy.
onesie right now. He always had those onesies on. He was the greatest.
Phew.
All right.
Okay,
So
Brian.
the first key to energy is to change the way you move. If you want to move your business, if you want to move your relationships, if you want to move your health, if you want to move your life, you got to move yourself. You got to change the comfort zone, which is really a confinement zone of the way you move. Smile more on purpose until it becomes automatic. All right. Become much more movement into your life every single day. Add 5 minutes of movement to each day, and pretty soon, inch by inch, anything's a cinch. So number one, the key to energy is change the way you move. The second way is actually the most profound, and you're going to love it because it's who you are. Your level of energy is directly proportional to your level of purpose. Whenever you're full of purpose, you're full of energy. Have you ever noticed when you get to do what you love to do? Energy's no problem. It doesn't matter how much sleep you had. It doesn't matter how you've been feeling, what's on your mind. When you get to do what you love to do, you're like my grandchildren. Get out of the way. I'm ready. But you ever notice what happens to your energy when you lose sight of your purpose? It's like somebody puts a pin in the balloon. So you'll appreciate this. I'm a professional speaker. I've spoken nearly 2,000 times around the world over the last 35 years. At every event I go to, I bring with me a photo of my family. They are my purpose. I love them more than life itself. And as beautiful as those people are, I don't bring that photo with me to show the audience. I show it to them. I bring it with me to show me. And the last thing I do before I speak is I fill up with my purpose, with my family. I think about how much I adore them. I think about how everything I want to do, I want to dedicate to them. I think about all the times we've laughed till we've cried, and we've cried till we've laughed. I think about how much I want to do for them, give to them, and be for them, and whatever time I'm blessed to have left. And the instant I do that, something magical happens. And it'll happen to everyone. You know what it is? It changes me. See, no longer does it matter if my hips are aching. No longer does it matter if I had flights delayed. All that matters when I focus on my purpose is that if I don't give the people right in front of me right now everything I've got, that means I'm not giving them everything I've got. And I won't do that. So how do you bring purpose into your life in a simple way? Well, here, I'll give you a crash course in one question to ask yourself every morning. You ask yourself this question every morning, your day is going in the right direction. What am I truly grateful about today? The word has a secret in it. What am I truly grateful about today? The word has a secret in it, especially if you don't care about spelling. What you're grateful about has within the capacity, when focused upon, the power to make you grateful. What you're grateful about will focus you on your priorities. Your priorities are always the path to purpose.
Path to purpose. Okay, on that cliffhanger, because there's more, Brian, on the other side.
Oh, yeah, one more key to energy.
Don't go away. I want to hear more. We have great sponsors. Consider using what they have, because we wouldn't have them here if they didn't think they were good, worthy of you. We'll be right back after this brief message with more. Brian. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Hey, everybody. You know me, Barry Shore, and you know my story. Standing up in the morning, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, that night being in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed. Talk about a change of life. I was faced with lots of issues, difficulties, paths forward, if there was to be one. And I'm here to tell you that finding advice from professional people makes all the difference, certainly in my life. And I would urge everybody to consider doing so in your life. And if you've ever had the opportunity to find someone or some two people that are really matched up with you, then you know it makes a difference. I urge you to consider using BetterHelp. BetterHelp If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, so it's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill in a brief questionnaire, I've done it, to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. This is your opportunity to make a difference and become the best you possible. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/joy of living today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/joy of living. BetterHelp, HELP.com/joy of living. Best wishes. Bye now. We Americans take about 20,000 breaths every day, and we spend an average of 90% of our time indoors. Now, the indoor air that we breathe can be up to 100 times more polluted than outdoor air. That's according to the Environmental Protection Agency. Indoor air pollutants can cause respiratory systems like sneezing, congestion, scratchy throat, and even more serious health problems like lung and heart disease. So what's the solution? Is there a solution? The answer is yes. I'm here to tell you about Air Doctor, the air purifier that helps filter out 99.99% of dangerous contaminants so your lungs don't have to. This includes allergens, pollen, pet dander, dust mites, mold spores, and even bacteria and viruses. I'm going to make a confession. I use it and we love it. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you don't love it? Just send it back for a refund minus the shipping. Go to airdoctorpro.com. Use the promo code JOY, J-O-Y, and you'll receive up to $300 off air purifiers. Exclusive to my podcast listeners, you will also receive a free 3-year warranty in any unit. That's an additional $84 value. So go and get this special offer now. Go to airdoctorpro.com, 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 and use the promo code JOY, J-O-Y. You will thank me. Bye now.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe good-looking is what I was looking for and finding good. We found good in abundance. It's amazing. Brian Biro, and he's talking about breakthrough. He's talking about energy. He's talking about purpose. Because remember, we talked about 3 fundamentals of life. The first one is life. Your life has purpose. Lead a purpose of life. You go mad like him. He's a madman. He makes a difference in the world. Okay, Brian, you're talking about the idea, not the idea, the reality of living in and with purpose.
Absolutely. And the third, we talked about whenever you're full of purpose, you're full of energy. I'm sure you know this book. One of the great books I read at least once every 5 years is called Man's Search for Meaning, written by Viktor Frankl, who lived through the Holocaust. And the most powerful single teaching in a book full of them said that the people who made it through were the people who had a purpose left undone. Whether it was children they felt they must get back to, work they felt they must complete, someone they felt they had to support. If you're not inspired, then you're on the way to getting expired. So, all right. So the second key to incredible energy to make the choice is to focus on purpose. The third is kind of, remember I told you the story about my grandson and the big rock? All right. The big rock that people must learn to go around in life, must learn to deal with when it comes to their energy, is I've talked about energy in my programs for 35 years. And every so often I'll have somebody come up to me and say, Brian, I have a lot of energy, except when I get around him. I have this one person in my life who sucks the energy out of me. They're my energy vampire. And I always say this, whenever I'm excited, they bring me down. Whenever I say I can, they say I can't. And I always say the same thing to these people, Barry. I never say it to be harsh or cruel. I say it to set them free. And that is, if you have someone in your life who fits that description as your energy vampire, as Bob Newhart would have said, stop it. It's not their energy. No one can take your energy away. And I want everyone on your show, because it's about you, about them, to get how powerful this is. Because the man I was pretty certain was my energy vampire for a big part of my life was also the man that was my hero when I was a kid. It was a man by the name of my father. Now, my dad was big and tough and quiet and strong. He was LAPD. He was a policeman in Los Angeles.
Oh my God. Wait a minute. That says a lot. 4 letters, LAPD. That's not a simple road. LAPD, any PD.
Absolutely.
But LAPD, it's not a simple road, and it's not a simple issue for a son. Okay.
Absolutely. And so anyways, he was my hero, and more than anything in this world, what I wanted when I was a little kid, Barry, was I wanted my big tough daddy just once to give me a hug. Just once for him to say, I'm proud of you, Brian. Just once for hear him say, I love you, son. But my dad couldn't do it. And his mother passed away when he was 7 years old. And my uncle told me that when she passed away, it was as if he closed up. But I didn't know that. I was a kid. All I knew was I wanted my dad to hug me, to love me, to be proud of me, but he couldn't do it. Finally, by the time I went off to Stanford University, I was almost 18. I started to say, to heck with him. I don't care. I don't need him. I got a good life, going to a good school. And it was a big fat lie. He was still my hero. Maybe more than ever, I want to be proud of me. Even for the next 14 years, I had no relationship with my father. No calls, no connections. No. If I called home and he answered the phone, if I called to talk to my mom, we had the same conversation. He'd say, I'll get your mother. That was 14 years. I'm a slow learner. But finally, two things happened, two wonderful things that opened my eyes to the greatest woo of all. And that is, if things are to change, I must change. And the first thing that happened was my wife, Carol, and I met each other. We fell in love and we got married. And at the greatest time of my life, there was a wound that opened in my heart that wouldn't heal because my dad wasn't part of it. And 1 year later, we gave birth to our first daughter, Kelsey, his only grandchild. And he never held her. He never saw her in person. He never knew her. And so finally, my Carol and I talked, and I said, as hard as it's been in my life to be around my dad, I don't want our children to never know their grandparents. So we went to visit my parents. But I made another choice. And this is the choice that everyone on this show right now, you can make this choice where you are right now in this woo. I made up my mind that for the first time ever, when I was around my dad, I was going to be myself. I was going to bring my own authentic energy. I was going to make that choice. See, I always tried to be who I thought he wanted me to be. I thought he wanted me to be like him, tough, quiet, strong. That's not me. I'm the worst. I cry at openings of supermarkets. I've watched It's a Wonderful Life for 50 years, and I sob every time. I know every word. So we went to see my parents, and I was myself. I brought my energy. I made a choice. And in one day of being myself, my entire life changed. First thing I realized, how much I love my dad, how much he gave me. He was the one who taught me about energy. He taught me about work ethic. He taught me to do the right thing when nobody was looking, but I couldn't see it because I was too busy being bitter to get better. Next, once I realized how much I loved my dad, how much he gave me, I got a bigger epiphany. I realized he had always told me he loved me.
Right.
He just couldn't say it. He just couldn't hug me. But for 17 and a half years, the guy worked 2 jobs. He worked as a policeman all night, construction all day. He couldn't say, I'm proud of you, son, but he got this old dilapidated bike. And for 8 months, in the tiny time he had, he'd go off to the garage and work on it. So Christmas morning, there was my bike. For the first time ever, we actually started really talking. And I found out all those years, I didn't think my dad even knew, much less cared what I was doing in school and sports. He was telling all the other cops. He just didn't want me to have a fat head. Today, my 94-year-old daddy is one of my best friends in the world. We talk every single day. I visit him once a month on the other side of the country. I'm his caregiver. And every conversation now ends with, I love you, son. And I love you, Dad. So What I say to you is release the energy vampire because it's only of your own creation. All right. No one can take your energy or your power away unless you give them permission. And anyone can do if you give them permission. And when you release that energy vampire, your energy will soar to a new level. So 3 levels of energy. Focus on change the way you move. Spend every day focused on purpose and release that energy vampire because it's not real. All right. And when you release it, your energy will soar. On a 10-point scale with 1 comatose and 10 a child on Christmas morning, you'll be at 99.7.
Wonderful, Brian. What is your father's name?
His name is Lou.
Lou?
Mm-hmm.
L-O-U or L-E-W?
L-O-U. Louis
Lou.
P. Biro.
Lewis. Thank you, Officer Lou, for your service, not just for the police department and humanity in general, to your son.
Thank you, Barry.
That's who he is today. I'm loath to say the following words, wonderful Brian. We're coming to a close on our time together.
Oh, no. We haven't got to the 3rd controllable, but we've got.
We may have to come. Well, let me ask you the first question. You ready?
Yes.
I have 3 questions for you. First question: will you come back again?
Absolutely. I couldn't. I mean, we just got started. I knew that would be the challenge. We need 7 hours instead of 1. I'm
Okay.
there.
Number 2 question. You have only 80 seconds to answer this, wonderful Brian. 80 seconds. I'm going to cut you off after that. What is your most fervent desire?
My most fervent desire is to be fully present in every precious womb. Only when we're fully present for other humans do we say to them they're important, they matter, they count. And whenever we're not present, we speak louder. And so to me, the ultimate gift of life is the opportunity to be fully present. And that's the way we communicate to everyone we know that they matter, that they're significant, that they're important. So there you did it. I did it in less than 80 seconds.
Outstanding. Number 3 question. May I give you a hug in front of 431,817 people around the world? Let me tell you what HUG stands for. Heartfelt, unlimited giving.
I love it.
On
I
the
love
count
it.
of 3. 1, 2, 3. Roar! And you, of course, are listening to, watching The Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. Notice I didn't say the ambassador of joy. An amazing Brian Biro. And remember, in this show, the reason you're here is not because of Brian, not because of Barry, it's because of you being the best you possible. And you know that we work with the 3 fundamentals of life. Number 1, as Brian has told us, life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. In this case, a good number 2, you go mad, you make a difference in the world. And number 3 is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. And the result is you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. WWW, what a wonderful world. Smile, seeing miracles in life every day. Or as my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Create the kind of world you want to live in. As he says, create with your vision the world you want to live in, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. You want to shift your perspective just a little, keep that F in place, and then you'll be able to internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever learn. Choice, not chance, determines your path in life and your trajectory. Use 4-letter words. Now, of course, the 4-letter words we use can live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant are love, life, hope, play, free, gift, swim, and tell the world to F you. Capital N, capital N. So after the show, see your family and friends. Say, what'd you do? Say, Barry Shore wants to teach the world to F you. Capital N, capital N. And say, what's that all about? Then you can tell them all the breakthrough that we've been talking about today. And remember, please use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day, consciously and conscientiously, from now and the rest of your life, because you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Therefore, be kind always. Keep inspiring noble deeds. And a blessing from Brian and Barry. Go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Brian, don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.